The Lift+Love podcast is rooted in faith, family, and the conviction that loving LGBTQ people is a calling to be embraced, not feared. Produced by the Lift+Love team, we focus on topics relevant to Latter-day Saint LGBTQ individuals and their parents, relatives, friends, and others who are navigating this space with faith. Across episodes, hosts from the Lift+Love team and their guests address current topics, offer practical support, and share experiences related to LGBTQ+ issues. Each conversation is grounded in compassion, honesty, and a commitment to keep families connected to each other and Christ. Learn more and access resources at liftandlove.org. I'm here again with Autumn McAlpin and Darice Auston. We're here to talk about Sanctuary, Autumn's documentary film about the intersection between religion and being LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. And Autumn's in town for a showing.
Yeah. You have two screenings this weekend.
Two screenings, and I'll be going to one. I'm super excited. And then, Darice, tell us what you did with helping Autumn with this.
Well, I got to learn what an archival producer does and is after I said yes. So, and it was funny, the story is that you had texted, we were texting back and forth. I'm like, oh, let me know if there's anything you need help with. And you had said, actually, there is something. Mm-hmm. And somehow I missed that reply. So then I keep texting, yeah, I'd love to help. Just let me, I just went on and we were talking back and forth. And then you said, did you see the text where I actually invited you to be part of the project? And I hadn't. So I'm so glad you clarified, because otherwise you could have been like, well, I asked her and she didn't say anything. So yeah, I'm the archival producer, which works behind the scenes in collecting all the B-roll, the still shots. So as you see this film and you see people talking, but then it's cutting away to pictures, video of something in their lives, that's stuff that I've gone to secure rights and all the boring things. And I help with the production coordinating. Yeah, she keeps telling me it's really important.
And Darice is perfect at getting all the details right. She's so detailed oriented.
No one's asked to check my work.
So let's talk about Sanctuary.
Yeah.
How did this come about? I know that you're a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. You're a storyteller, obviously, since you have told all of our Lift+Love family stories. But this particular film, how did this come about?
Yeah, so I'd been the director, producer, writer of feature films before in the narrative space. I really gravitate toward based on true stories and adaptations. I really like telling real stories. And after entering this space with two of my kids identify as queer and being immersed in the space through Lift+Love, through other groups I volunteered with, I was asked to speak a couple years ago at a gala for an Encircle, an affirming safe place for kids
in Utah.
And in my speech, I used the word sanctuary. And afterwards, this man ran up to me and he said, I'm an architect and I build sanctuaries. And I was like, cool. And I didn't know what he meant by that. But a mutual friend there said, no, you need to see what he does. It's really cool. And he'd been going to the Pride festivals in Utah and building sanctuaries. He had studied at UCLA in his grad program. He had studied sacred architecture. That was his thesis. And at the time, he was very interested in temples, historically in the Bible and LDS temples. He was LDS at the time. And the UCLA crowd, I guess, kind of was like, that's a weird area of emphasis. But he was very passionate about it. And so he had worked on the Manhattan Temple. He'd worked for the churches in the intern and had studied this sacred architecture. But he had started, once his brother came out as gay and two of his own kids came out as queer, he kind of stepped back and said, I want to build a structure that's inclusive of all and representative of some themes that I'm not seeing are being fulfilled in modern church architecture. So he started building these sanctuaries at Pride festivals out of recycled materials to symbolize that you can build something beautiful out of something that other people might consider discarded.
Or less valuable.
And so he, out of cardboard and recycled materials, he was building these pieces that had spires and domes and stained glass. And so I thought, that's a short film. That's really interesting. And he was really great at what he does. And so I started out with a short film idea. And then as we got into it, all of these other story pieces came together. And I saw how this world that I'd entered in so many ways all was linked from evangelical pastors I'd become friends with who had started affirming churches to New York City, the Weston Collegiate Church, which was housing at the time the LDS congregations there. And their church is led by a queer pastor. They have pride flags in their what they call the sanctuary.
Right. Well, and they housed the LDS church because the Manhattan Temple, which houses the chapels, was under construction.
And Doug had worked on that.
Yeah.
And so all of these stories came together. And then I found out that the Weston pastor His tutelage was under these two liturgists who consult cathedrals and synagogues on sacred space and how you can make your church space more welcoming for all. Those were the same mentors Doug had. And so it was just this wild world where all these storylines weaved. And so I thought, this is a feature film. And luckily, at the time, I'd gotten reacquainted with an old friend, Vienna Boyce, who's a young queer filmmaker. And I'd seen her work and blown away. And I said, I have a project. I don't know if you'd be interested. She had not come out publicly yet. And I kind of knew, and she has a gay brother too. And I knew that it's a space she would be open to, but I didn't know how she'd really feel about it. But this journey of making this film paralleled to her own coming out journey in a lot of ways. So for her, there's ways you can hear her talk about her story. I know we've been on other podcasts, but her story is amazing too. So we came together to make this film, this tiny little shoestring budget of a film. But luckily, because we'd had so many amazing connections in this space, both through the LDS Church and other churches and other groups, that we were able to weave together these storylines that show what's possible when we reimagine what we can do with sacred space and making it more inclusive for all.
Right.
So the point of the film, it's not an anti-film, it's not a pro-LGBT, it's pro-authenticity. Wherever you're at, there should be a safe space for you.
Yeah.
So whatever your reality is, pretty much everyone we interview in the film is queer or is a huge ally or has made safe space. So we really wanted to get in. We have scholars in this film. We have luminaries in the space of people who've really created safe spaces for all.
Right.
So we want to show what's possible.
Right. And I love the word sanctuary because it means something real. People who are struggling can actually take sanctuary in churches legally if they are feeling threatened.
Refugees,
Yeah, refugees. And there was a story in Salt Lake not too many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, where a family did live. And we had a piano. It was in a Unitarian church, and a piano. My kids did a piano concert there.
I love the Unitarians, by the way.
Yeah.
They're big sponsors of our screenings.
Yeah, yes. And
Beautiful church.
they are so welcoming. And so there's this really deep meaning of sanctuary. Not only do we go to our churches on Sunday and midweek sometimes for sanctuary from the world, but they are legally a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And there's just this sanctuary is just a beautiful meaning. And that's what we take sanctuary. We can also do it at our homes, but in our churches is where we're kind of struggling we're struggling in our churches to find sanctuary for every right.
Yeah, Richard Bosco is one of the liturgists in our film. He's one of the leading experts in the world. He's a Catholic priest, and he goes around. He's the one who's contracted by synagogues and cathedrals to make and all churches to make their spaces more.
So somebody's not just standing and delivering, but it's more. It's more
huddle seating,
synergistic.
all of those things. But he delivers a great line in our film where he says, "If churches are not intentionally making space for BIPOC women, people, LGBTQ, hungry children. That is what Jesus said in the Bible churches were for. He said, if they're not actively doing that, what's the point? What is the point of having these buildings that sit empty 6 days a week or whatever, if they're not actively seeking ways to become sanctuaries and refuges?
Which is the message and the movie.
Yeah.
It is the movie.
That's our goal.
And it asks the question, when that church that should be biblically, legally sanctioned to be the safe space, what happens when it's not?
Yeah.
And where can you turn if you're still seeking a safe space and what maybe was traditionally where you would turn is no longer that same peaceful space?
Yeah. So I have some friends that just saw your film in Florida, and he's a stake president, and she's been in all sorts of leadership and caring for kids. And on the way home, and there's parts of that are going to disquiet people because it does really
It's uncomfortable.
It faces some of the issues that we really need to work on.
Yeah.
But he said to his wife, who's a big supporter already, and they have a queer child, but he said on the way home, we need to do more. What can we do? We need to do more. What are you hearing from
That's
people?
the goal.
What are you hearing from people are you hearing people that are disquieted, especially within our LDS? Because I know that this transcends just LDS people, but what are you hearing within our community?
Within the LDS community, we were, again, nervous about this kidding because we do use words in the film at the very beginning from leaders that things they've said in the past that have been harmful for LGBTQ. The reason we include those, it's very important that we include those because two of the stories we start our film with were stories of people who were literally pushed out of their homes. One person was made to be homeless by his parents. Another person's mother rejected them when they came out. And it's because of those words that they're generationally, they grew up with those words.
Right.
So it was very important to us, even though it's the LDS audiences that we focus grouped, they said that was the hardest part of the film for them, was showing some of the things their leaders had said. And they're like, well, why did you include that? It's 20 years old. I said, because that 20-year-old quote hasn't been redacted, and it is the quote that made this mother push her child out of the home.
Right.
And people need to understand generational trauma is real. And we have a lot of 50-year-old gay LDS, former LDS people
Certainly.
walking around, your brother, who heard those messages and they were not safe.
No.
They were told, you are not wanted here. And we need to understand that those people are still alive. They're still with us. Those words are still part of their trauma experience.
And they're still on the LDS website.
Right.
And the children of today are finding those words.
Yeah.
And feeling the same kind of
Yes.
thing.
So we had those conversations with those
Yeah.
focus groups where we said, they were pushing at us as the filmmakers. We said it. And I said, I had to push back a little and say, I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable with hearing those words. It's important for you to know we are not saying them. We are reflecting back what was said. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, you might need to examine why.
Imagine if you were queer.
Yeah, and exactly. And we do invite people, any time we do a live screening where we're there, and we so far have, one of us has been there at all the screenings, I believe, so far. And one of the two directors, we do, if we have a chance to open the film with an invitation, we ask people to sit back and we say, please just listen and understand that there will be at least one story in this film that's going to make you really uncomfortable. Everyone. And I'm not as sensitive. Any strongly religious person who's watching this film, if they're uncomfortable, frankly, I'm kind of okay with that. I think we all need to be a little uncomfortable. The ones that we are more concerned about right now are, we have a lot of queer people who show up to our screenings who are triggered. Because at the end, we haven't had anyone say, I wish you didn't make this film. We have people who say, that was so hard to watch because I had to relive my own trauma, but I'm so glad you made this film because I know it's going to help this, and this. And one of those people is the CEO of an organization who works to make safe spaces. I think he's come to almost every one of our screenings, and he says, this story hit me so hard. We've had a few people who've had to go home and have quiet days to recover from this film. We're not trying to get the shock and awe reaction, but it just really speaks to some of the trauma people have faced in this space. But then they come around and they say, we have to get the story out there. So the response we're really getting, I was surprised. I thought we'd get a lot more negative backlash. We haven't as of yet, but we're getting a lot of, everyone needs to see this film. That is the most common thread we hear at the Q&As is, how can we get it in universities? Last week in Florida, we had a school board member there, and they said, a lot of that audience was older, over 40, I would say. And he said, how can we get this in the teens? And this needs to be in the universities. And what's interesting is I was like, the young people I know are doing pretty well. They kind of get it. It's kind of some of us older folks who
Right.
Yeah. And so that's our goal right now, is we're trying to get the film out in educational spaces, church spaces, progressive church spaces, community spaces. The film is getting a pretty positive reaction. A lot of people are requesting screenings. We have a screening partner, Inventive, where we can make the film available to anyone who wants to host a screening in their home, in their community center.
Yeah. We can scale to whatever size audience that wants to see it.
Yeah. Which is,
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
And that's good to know, because a lot of people ask me, they know that I'm part of it and want to see it. And it's good to know that they can see it and to bring other people in.
Yeah.
And it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable.
And
but
if you
it
want to
is
host it in your area or know where it should be shown, reach out.
Yeah. And it's on our website, sanctuarydoc.com. You can reach us that way, request screenings. You can donate to the film if you want. Most of our screenings so far have been free because we feel so passionate about this.
So after the film shows, you have a Q&A.
Yes.
You have a panel that usually talks, and you have a Q&A. Yeah. What's come up here?
So something that often comes up is music is so important to film. It's so important. I mean, all of my films, the music is this major backbone.
You need a soundtrack.
For someone that had all the soundtracks for my movies in the 80s.
Right. John Williams has got nothing on out of it.
It's so important. Yeah. But we have the most beautiful song. Everyone pause this podcast right now and go download Spencer LaJoy's song Cloud.
Yeah, it's
a
amazing.
song.
We'll link it.
It's gorgeous. And it's a song we discovered while we were editing. And every lyric of the song speaks to a different group in our society who needs sanctuary. And the whole song is a figurative prayer for those who are struggling. And Vienna is the most gifted editor, but she cut the end sequence where we kind of see all of our characters in action, our subjects of the documentary in action. And it plays over these lyrics where we're just reminded of the importance to make these people we've come to fall in love with in the film safe. And she snuck in an Easter egg that I didn't know we even had. And it hits me so hard. So, sorry. So after my first son came out as gay, I thought, okay, one of my 4 kids is LGBTQ. And 5 years later, my second son came out. And this is kind of a funny side note, but my oldest son came out on
It was
Earth.
kind of a shocker.
Oh, absolutely a shocker. Yeah. My oldest son came out on Earth Day, which is so him. He's an environmentalist. My second son came out on Cinco de Mayo, which is so him. He's a party. He's always been a party, and he's the life of the party, that one. And he was a womanizer. And that one took me by surprise. I wasn't that surprised with my oldest, but when my second son, at first he told us he was bisexual. Now he'll kind of use gay and bisexual interchangeably. He's a model in New York City. He's surrounded by beautiful women all the time, and he appreciates their beauty. But romantically, he's more attracted to men. So that one surprised us. But when he came out, he said, Mom, we're going to do it different. I don't need a book. I don't want you on podcast. I don't need you writing poems about me. And I said, note taken. I've learned my. I said, that's fine.
So it's good they came out in the order.
I know.
So you could process. It doesn't always work that for parents. To be able to process so openly. We have all been able to do.
Yes. So I made this film, and they knew I was making the film, but nowhere is my family on screen in this film. It's not a film about us. But as artists, everything we make is about us, our story, right? And so I'm interviewing all these just legendary people who've had these phenomenal stories in this space, who've changed minds and open hearts. And at the very end, Mom, am I in the film? Is it about me? And I said, no.
So he didn't want a book. He wanted a movie.
He wanted a movie. So
that tracks.
So he's an NYU film student. And, well, no, I'm sorry. Okay, distraction. He's an NYU student, and he has a lot of friends in the film department. And while we were shooting in New York at the West End Collegiate Church, I said, why don't you come to set and you can just have a day on set and figure it out. And he was just going to help with crew type tasks and such. And as the drummer he mostly just networked with all the people in the film. But he brought along a few friends, and 2 of them were from his high school in California, and they're queer. And then 2 of them were new friends at NYU who are queer. And there's a scene in the film where Will, the pastor, is giving a sermon about sanctuary and the need for safe spaces. Oh my gosh, Will Kritzman.
I love him.
His services are online every week, so people can watch them. If you can watch them.
Really interesting. He is a dear, and
so powerful.
He's an embrace.
Yeah,
he is being with them.
He is. Yeah. And so he's giving this sermon, and my son was there, and we're rolling camera. Got our cameras all set up, and there was a clip of my son sitting in a pew with his friends, and it's a beautiful shot. Everything Vienna does is beautiful, but in the end, in the edit, I didn't know we had that shot. And in the end, one of the very last scenes of the film is the line from the song, "I pray that this works." And it's set over my son sitting there in a pew listening, but you can tell he doesn't have this look of trauma on his face. He's safe. And he and his friends, and I know this, no one else will know, but it's my son and his queer friends, the 5 of them lined up. And he was comfortable in that pew. And 3 of my 4 kids will not sit in a pew anymore. They are not church. The church was a hard place for them. And this one that day felt very safe. And I like to share at Q&As that I pray that this works. My goal with this film is not for my kids to go sit in a pew. That's not it. My goal for this film is for every human seeking sanctuary to find it wherever it's the right place for them. Yeah. For my kids, luckily, they're amazing humans who have found safety with friend pockets and in their universities and their networks. And they're fine. They're doing good. They're moral, ethical, amazing humans. I don't worry about their spiritual salvation at all. They're great humans. And they are all able to be themselves. And that's what Sanctuary is. And last week we did a screening in Florida with this amazing pastor, Dan Miner of the Harvest Church in Sarasota. Such a cool thing he's got going. He is taking care of every form of the marginalized you can imagine in his town. He's amazing. But he pulled Vienna and I into his back room and we were prepping the film, and he said, my goal is never to get someone to attend my church or donate. It's to have every person I encounter feel free to be themselves. And that is the divinity within all of us. And so for our film, Vienna, it's very important to us that this film doesn't have an agenda beyond if everyone who watches it can pivot 1% to the area where they're making the world a safer place in a sanctuary, or allowing themselves to feel that they can be safe wherever they're at. That's our goal.
I love that idea of sanctuary as a person.
Yeah.
Because I think for a lot of our children who don't feel safe at church, or who don't resonate with the God they used to know, right? There are people that can be sanctuary for them and can be divine support for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important. And it's sanctuary
Yeah.
in a totally different and equally as important way.
And for LDS people, that's literally living our baptismal covenants, right?
Absolutely.
I think that is, if in summation, that our baptismal covenants are to be sanctuaries.
Yeah.
I feel
Is
like
that a great
Yeah.
minister we use, but sanctuary.
Yeah, because
Sanctuary.
minister feels like you're active, you're going out and doing, but a sanctuary is it's just by being.
Well, and it brings back to the sculpture that's created in the very beginning that can sit in the middle of a park or on a street, and people can be in there and feel embraced and loved, and they can feel supported, and they can write the things that they're feeling on the walls, and they can be themselves.
Yeah. And Pastor Will in our film, one of the lines he says is he grew up in a faith that it was hard for him to come out and be himself. And he, in our film, says, when the LDS group comes in every week, he goes, we don't have an agenda. We're not trying to convert them or anything. He says, we're just trying to show them a different way to be a person of faith. That's my only agenda. So he says, if they see me on the street with my new manicure or whatever and say, high five, Pastor Will, he's like, I'm just happy we're connecting.
Yeah.
But it was cool as in getting to know the people in the film, my son, who was there that day, at the end of it, he said, if I were going to go to a church, he goes, I would be safe with Will. And I just loved that.
Will is sanctuary.
Yeah, Will is sanctuary. And when I told Will that, and Will calls his church the sanctuary, that's what they call it. A lot of the churches that we are now doing screenings at and that we filmed in are actually called sanctuary. They call it the sanctuary, which is so cool. And
it's part of the Catholic tradition of a church, correct? Or maybe not even Catholic, but more broadly
Protestant.
There's a
the earliest.
space
Yeah.
in the church that's actually called the
Sanctuary.
sanctuary.
Yeah. So it's been really cool to learn about that. And and when I told Will, my son had said that, he said, this is what I loved. He goes, I'll meet him wherever he needs, a bar, a club, a party. I'll go to him. And I loved that he was one, and I'm not saying my son is always in a bar, club, or party. Sometimes, but he saw, I'll be there for him.
Yeah.
And one of the most fabulous parts of this filmmaking experience is as we're going across the country and doing these screenings in open spaces and safe spaces, we are meeting so many people who have made a living, not for money, but for pure intent out of making safe spaces. And there are so many good people out there, and it's just wonderful to see.
So good. The movie is incredible. It's emotional. I'm going to see it today for my 4th time. And it does take me a little while to recover from.
Me too.
And just personally, the first time I saw it, I didn't realize, but there's a story of Levi Martin, who we've talked about before in other podcasts, and who was a trans child who took his life. And his parents graciously shared his eulogy with Lift+Love. And you dedicate the movie to Preston, my brother, and to Levi.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. In fact, I didn't see it. My husband took a picture of it because I had gone to come around and answer some questions, and just so touching. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I truly feel some of the most powerful spirits and humans we have on this planet do most of the work from beyond.
Totally.
And those are 2 that we know have affected us in really substantial ways.
Forever. And they need a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And you're helping to bring it.
So
Thank
are you.
Thank you both for what you do. And thanks for keeping it all moving forward. Darice, you do amazing work.
Thank
that
you.
way. So
Dream team.
Find it. Find Sanctuary, see it, share it you can share it in your living room with a few friends, but it is a beautiful movie.
We'll link the trailer as well in the show notes.
Yeah, perfect. Find all episodes of the Lift+Love podcast and so much more on our YouTube channel at liftandlove.org, and of course, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you for everything you do to lift and love.